Hey guys. Hi guys, this is Carson from the future, and I just wanted to pop in to give you a little synopsis of the 3 stories that I'm going to be talking about today. So my first novel is Valor, and Valor is about Ira. She is kind of an average farm girl. She cares a lot about her family. She doesn't really like society. She likes to stay by herself, and she is all of a sudden married off to a prince of another kingdom because of something that happened with her father in the past. So she gets shipped off there without any of her family and has to figure out how to all of a sudden be the center of attention, which she's never enjoyed doing, be married to somebody who she's never met before, and is now trying to sail off and leave her alone in his village that she's never been to for the next foreseeable future. It is a historical fiction about Scandinavia and Vikings, and it's definitely a journey of growth and finding inner strength and bravery and learning that strength isn't just one definition, and you can be strong in a whole bunch of different kinds of ways. My second novel, Might, is about Hemming. Hemming is a king. He has lost his entire family various ways throughout his life. So he is very closed off. He's very emotionally stunted. He is kind of morally gray. He doesn't connect with anybody. And at the beginning of Might, he is overtaken by this feeling of smallness when he realizes that the world is so much bigger than he thought it was, and he sails off to this place that he's never been to before to try and figure out the world around him. He gets into fights with his people. He realizes what it means to be a good king in his own way, and he finally opens up to some of the people around him. My third novel, Betty and Finn, is completely different than the first 2. Might is also a historical fiction, Scandinavian Viking story. Betty and Finn, however, is a college romance between Betty and Finn. Finn is ex-military. He had a traumatic experience in the military and is now coming to college with his older brother, who is also in the military with him, to kind of figure out what he wants to do with his life now that he's home. Betty is a try-hard academic student who really cares about her grade and really cares about the subject that she studies. Finn is a math major. Betty is a history major. She has a special interest in archives. Betty and Finn meet at the Dodd Center at UConn, which is where I went, and they strike up kind of a friendship and then a relationship that goes through a couple of trials. They're both trying to figure out how to be open with each other and honest with each other and support each other in the way that they need. So yeah, that's it. I will let you watch past me talk about finishing all 3 of those books. Today we are chatting about finishing books. I didn't script anything for this. I just wanted to make a video to commemorate the fact that I have recently finished my 2nd and my 3rd novel. That's crazy to me. I guess I'll tell you a little bit about every story I've written. My first book, Valor, took me 3 years to write, maybe even over 3 years. It was a long process. I didn't really know what I was doing, and that story ended up being around 150,000 words. I finished that my sophomore year of college, and then I started my 2nd book my senior year. So I started planning it my junior year, and then I started writing it my senior year, and that's Might. And I just finished Might a few months ago. Might was very different from Valor. When I wrote Valor, I was doing it on my own. I was 17 years old when I started. I learned as I went. I didn't have anybody checking things over or bouncing ideas off of anybody. And when I started writing Might, which is sort of a sequel to Valor, not necessarily a direct sequel, kind of like a companion novel, When I started writing Might, I was working with professors at my university. I had people looking at my outline. They were giving me feedback and pointers and checking over my historical facts and things like that. And that was obviously wildly different than my first book, but such an awesome experience that I got to have. And then I got to do a workshop with the first, I think maybe 7 or 8 chapters. So I had other writers critiquing them and giving me advice. So by the time I finished university last May, I had the first 70 pages, had gone through 3 drafts already, but the story wasn't done. I did write Might for a school project, so I was a university scholar student. That doesn't really mean much to anybody who isn't a UConn student. If you are a UConn student, let me know in the comments down below. That'd be so cool that you're watching this, and I'll also leave a link in case you're curious and you want to read a little bit more about what a university scholar is. But what my experience with University Scholar as a humanities student, I decided to write a historical fiction novel or part of a historical fiction novel along with a historical research paper. So Might was obviously my historical fiction novel. When I turned it in, I think around 80 to 100 pages, and it was a weird feeling because I love finishing things, but obviously Might was not finished. I was just finished with the project. I was finished with my degree, honestly. So I continued writing, and I continued writing for months. While I was writing Might, I was rereading Valor and trying to come up with a plan to make it better, because if you write a book over 3 years, there's a lot of editing that needs to go into it. I was 17 when I began writing that novel, and I was 20 years old when I finished it. That's insane. That's a huge difference and a huge life shift to have gone through. I learned so much, I gained so many skills, so by the time I was rereading it, there was a lot of work to be done, a lot of things to be fixed. So in the last year, I've been working on Might and working on Valor in tandem, writing the first draft of Might and trying to edit and come up with an editing plan for Valor. A lot of that is on my channel. If you aren't subscribed, I would love to have you here. You can look back on my old vlogs and I talk about Valor and Might and all of my stories, all of my characters. That's all on here for you guys to see. So yeah. Anyway, getting to the last couple of months, I finished Might. And that was a hard book for me to write. Oh my god. My grandfather passed away while I was drafting and outlining Might, and he was my favorite person in the whole world. And I used writing as a tool to cope with my grief and missing him. And so I have these characters in Might that are grieving and scared and feel alone and feel like their thoughts are controlling them rather than them controlling their thoughts. And all of that comes from my life, comes from my personal experience. So wrapping up that story, even though it's just the first draft and I'm still going to work on it, wrapping up that story was really difficult for me. I'm so proud of that story. I'm so proud of those characters and the growth that they go through and the growth that they don't go through, because an unfortunate part of grief is that it's always with you. I'm not ever going to not miss my grandfather for the rest of my life, and you learn to live with it and you learn to cope with it. So I wrapped up that story and I immediately jumped into a new novel because, I don't know, I wanted to. I had never gotten to do that. So I wanted to just fast draft something as quickly as I could in a month in NaNoWriMo. And it ended up taking me a little bit longer than a month, but that's how my third novel came to be. My third novel doesn't have a name. I call it Betty and Finn, or my college romance novel, and I walk you through basically the whole plot through my April NaNoWriMo vlogs, which I can link the first one down below if you want to watch them. They're all numbered on my channel. So yeah, it took me a little bit longer than April to finish that book, but it is a short book. It's my shortest book. It comes in right around 50,000 words, which was my goal. I wanted it to be a short book. I wanted to just write it. And again, my third very different experience for writing a book. It was fun and intense and quick, and I really enjoyed it. And I realized as I was writing that book that happy may not be my thing. I missed my dark characters. I missed my sad characters from Might and even from Valor. So yeah, it's been kind of a crazy few months. I am now projectless. I guess I am in the middle of a rewrite for Valor, so I'm going back to rewriting Valor, but I finished 3 books. And I think that's crazy. I finished 3 books. That's insane to me. I can't even, I feel like my brain isn't processing that. Yeah, I finished 3 books. 3. That's crazy. I hope to finish more in the future. I want to continue writing, and I will continue making these videos so that I can document it for me and for you guys. But I just wanted to record my reaction to having finished my third novel. I can tell how much I've learned and how much I've grown, how comfortable I feel with writing in comparison to where I was almost 6 years ago. I'm almost 23. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm having an existential crisis about my age right now. It's been 6 years. Oh my goodness. It's been 6 years since I started Valor. Okay, taking that in. Sorry, I'm in a breakdown here. Yeah, if anything, after finishing this third book, I feel even more motivated to get published and be a published author, continue writing, and continue sharing my stories with people more than just workshop groups or my family. I want my stories to reach a wider audience because I know that there's an audience who would enjoy them and would like them, and I've never been very good at friends. I have a very hard time making friends, and I feel like a lot of my life I spent enjoying things alone. I didn't have a group of people who liked the same things that I liked. I didn't get to share hobbies with people. I wrote alone. Even though I took creative writing courses, I have a creative writing concentration and an English degree. Even though I was a university scholar and working with other scholars, even though I was a history major and wrote a history thesis with some other people in like a study group where we talked with each other, I've always felt like the odd one out. I've never super understood people my age. I mean, I'm kind of an old person internally. I would love to be an old person at this point in my life and just like write in a journal and write books and read books. I told my fiance the other day, him and I would do great if like electricity and technology just stopped existing, because he's a money person and money is always a thing, finances are always a thing, and I'm an education person. Like, I would love to be Little House on the Prairie in a schoolhouse teaching 30 kids of random ages things. Like, that's the kind of person I am, and I've never met people that are like me, and I've never had a friend group that is like me. So I think that makes my books even more special to me, because they are a part of me. They're such a clear expression of who I am, and I don't really have somebody that I share that with outside of my family. So I want other people to read them. I want people to be able to relate to them, and I want them to reach other people that are like me, who are reading books alone in their room. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop before I get any sappier. Thank you so much if you stuck through this video. If you like what you saw and you want to see more writing and reading content from me, please subscribe down below. I would love to have you guys here, and I will see you guys on Monday with a new video. Bye!